Harold and Lucas, if you ever need some entertainment from an event that you're planning, be sure to take one of their slides. I know Rob Calarco, our county legislator, is under a bit of a time constraint here. So we're going to take him a little bit out of order, and we'd like to present him with a framed representation of the map. Okay,
Well,
so
Steve,
he can get,
I want to do it so you present the maps.
You want to do the map first?
Yes.
All right.
Why don't we see the big one first?
We're going to unveil the map. We're going to have a bit of a countdown, just like they do on New Year's Eve. Okay, are we ready? 5,
4, 3, 2, 1,
0.
No.
I can't see. Okay, now we'd like to present the framed picture to Rob Calarco. Can you please come up?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so you have blue water on the bottom.
Blue water on the top, big problem.
One more.
Oh, over here.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
What particular date does this represent?
Well, it's a compilation of many different time frames. It starts roughly in the 1840s and goes up to the present time. There are some current buildings that are historic that are represented on here, but also it goes back and shows locations where buildings used to be. So it's like a, I don't know, compilation is the best I can think of as far as terminology, but it's not one particular era in time.
Created by a time machine.
Thank you so much. Can I say a couple words? Sure, absolutely.
Thank you so much, and it's a real pleasure to be here today. You know, we often talk about things and the great things that are happening here in Patchogue Village and the growth and the boom that we're seeing. And I so often have reflected it back to Patchogue's history, because when you look back at our history and what the village has been throughout the course of the last, well over 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, goes back so far. And you look at the things that they've had, and they once housed so many hotel rooms. It was always a tourist destination at one point in time. It was always a place that people came to shop, to have some culture, to be a part of things. That's what we have now. And it's always that reflection back that I always like to look at when we try to move forward and chart our new future. And so it was a real pleasure to have the opportunity to secure some funds for the Historical Society to do this project. And the funding comes from a hotel motel tax, which is specifically intended to help promote tourism, to help promote growth, to help promote people coming out and shopping in our downtowns and being a part of our economy in Suffolk County. So this map is going to do that so well, because now when people are coming to town, not only they have great places to go eat and great venues to come and see a show, but they're going to be able to go around and see our history. And oftentimes our history is a tourist attraction in and of itself. So I'm so happy to be able to be a part of this, and I do have a proclamation here for the Historical Society to congratulate them, because this was quite an undertaking for them to get done, and just to thank them for all their hard work for our community, like so many other great organizations we have here in Patchogue. So thank you.
Okay. Are we done yet?
You got it.
Thank you for the map. I'm going to hang this in my office next to the map of 1876 map I have hanging in my office that I had a resident gave to me about a year and a half ago. Gail Schaefer, her husband, collected the old maps, and it's hanging in my office now, and this will hang next to it.
As Jim said, a lot of hard work went into this by a lot of people, and especially I'd like to mention our artist who actually drew this by hand as a commercial artist. His name is Bart Arnold. And also our graphic designer, who, believe it or not, is our one and only Jim Roselle. Who added his special touches after the fact. And also his wife, Allison Roselle, who worked on the narrative and captions, which are on the back of the map. They're not on the back of this map. They're on the back of the map that you will all be handed out. We'll hand out to everyone pretty soon. Okay, I'd also like to call up at this point Ed Romaine, our town supervisor.
Thank you, Steve, Jim, Gladys, all the people in this historical society. The live a long life, you understand that people that respect their history, people that celebrate their history. Some people say they're looking back. I say they're looking forward. Because it's by looking back that we learn lessons that lead us forward. This historical society has learned that lesson. It is leading Patchogue forward. It is leading it by living out its history. I remember as a young boy, I must have been 3 years old when I first came to Sweezy's to Christmas shopping to see Santa. I mean, that's a long, long time ago. Patchogue has always been the hub of Suffolk County. It is one of those villages whose history changes. I remember going to the Rialto Theater and seeing my first movie down on South Ocean Avenue. So things have changed. But as they've changed, what is Patchogue hasn't. The spirit that embodies Patchogue and the people that live here haven't. So I'm here on behalf of the town of Brookhaven to say, congratulations, Patchogue. Congratulations to their historical society. This historical society that, as they remember the past, paves the way for the future. Thank you very much. Dorothy, sorry. Okay.
Okay, guys.
Steve.
This way. Yay.
Okay, and everybody right here.
My turn.
Thank you very much.
Historical Society photo.
Okay?
Yes.
This will be in the lobby of Town Hall because it's for the whole town of Brookhaven. Thank you very much.
Continuing on, since this is the Greater Patchogue Historical Society, I would be remiss in not recognizing the village of Patchogue specifically. Most of the items on our map are in the village, although some are outside the city limits of, village limits of Patchogue. And with that, I'd like to thank the Mayor, Paul Pontieri, and ask him to come up here and receive a map also. Paul?
You know, Supervisor Romaine talked about how we learned from the past, but also the past is our foundation of who we are today. It is where we grew up. You know, I always say to people, I grew up 2 blocks from Village Hall, so I didn't get too far from home. And the Calarco Theater, all of those things that we grew up with, all of those pieces that are pictured here on the map, those of us that grew up here know it. For those of us that didn't, and that they're relatively new to the community, now people here for maybe 30 or 40 years are still relatively new. But when you look at those things, and you look at the places and who we are as a community, you get to understand why we are what we are today. I've said to people any number of times, Patchogue was always transitioning itself from something to something else. Whether it's in the 1800s when it was a working river, an industrial river, a port of entry, to 1,000 hotel rooms along the South Shore here, when the railroad ended here, to when the town of Brookhaven had its offices here, with the seat of government, town government, which I know Mr. Romaine, you had an office there at one time.
Yes, I did.
You spent quite a bit of time in that building.
Long time ago.
You know, to the 20s, 30s, 40s, up until the early 70s, when we were the mall of the time. When you could walk down the street down here, and it was a J.C. Penney's, it was a McClellan's, a W.T. Grant's, a Woolworth's. All of these iconic kind of stores that have now gone and passed us on by. To a point in time that we got a little dark here on Main Street at night. To a point where we are today. We've always managed to survive and understand as a community who we are and that we have to become something else. And we've always been able to do that. And we do it not because of any particular administration, not because of anything except that we know in our hearts as a community that it is the families, it is the people here in the community that believe that change is always good, because we've always had change. You know, you take a look at it. I see Trustee Felice in the back. You know, the Felice family. If you got your car fixed, if you were lucky, you broke down someplace on a corner of Waverly Avenue, Main Street. And if you came too far down, you hit Donald Felice's, in his dad's place, Dominic, down on South Ocean Avenue. If you're out of East End, which of the uncles were over there, Sal?
Uncle Pat.
Uncle Pat.
Well, in Main Street.
You know, you have families, the iconic families like that, that kind of always took care of ourselves. We always took care. My dad had a luncheonette on South Ocean Avenue. Johnny's luncheonette for 4 or 5 years in the middle 50s. I'll tell you one quick story that, you know, I think the statute of limitations are well gone. In the middle 50s, 1956.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah. A good friend of mine, and some of you know Irving and Joe Brody, his son Doug and I, on Cedar Avenue. We used to go to the way out to theaters and movies. And on the way out, remember those little preview posters they had? Doug and I would grab a preview poster and scoot out. The guy chased us out, get as far as the front door, screaming my father got lunch, and we keep going. Went to Doug's house, and we used to put him inside of a Peter Pan coloring book. Up in the attic and slide it under the floorboard so nobody knew it. So here we go. And we did that a whole summer. And at the end of that summer, I get a call from Doug. They used to call me Buddy when I was a kid. Good friends still call me Bud. Doug said, Bud, you gotta come to the house. I come to the house. They're putting the freaking floor up in the attic. Coloring book's gone. Fast forward 40 years, 1996, Irma Brody passes on, and Doug and I are at the cemetery, the Jewish cemetery up in Holtzville. And he says, what you want for dinner tonight? I go for dinner, but I bring my crowbar. We go up in the attic. And now, Doug's saying it's over here, and I'm saying it's over here. And I knew it was over here because I was a youngest, so I used to have to sit and make sure nobody was coming up the stairs as we slid over the floorboards. And my son's with us. It was in mid-July. It had to be 150 degrees in the attic. Take the crowbar. Take up one board. They took up the second board, and there it was. 40 years later. Davy Crockett's Moby Dick. You know, just all of these, Johnny Tremaine, all of these iconic films that we saw as a kid, the films you saw, Mr. Boys, and there they were. And then my kids would say to me, like bring them home, they say, oh, you should put them on Amazon, you should put them on this. I just said to myself, look, you can sell my childhood when I'm gone. So I got some frame, my son, because he did some sailing, I Davy Crockett Riverboat, get that, you know, Peter Pan. But it is the history. You know, we all have those stories of being a part of this community and what it meant to be. So, not to belabor the point, but it really has been a joy to do what I do. I'm first appointed by Bill Electric many, many years ago. And I say this all the time. Before I walked outside to be sworn in, he looked at me and he said, Paul, remember two things. As goes the residential area, goes to downtown. And as goes the downtown, goes to residential areas. Don't ever forget the residents, and don't ever forget Main Street, you'll do okay. And that's what I tried to do, and I think that's what it is about. It is about the residents, it is about the downtown. How do we put all of this together to make ourselves a strong community? You know, I know you're gonna give me a picture, but before you give me a picture, I got something for you guys. And we'll start with the second one first. And it's a proclamation that says, whereas the Greater Patchogue Historical Society will present its historical map and guide, Patchogue Unveiling fundraiser on September 10, 2014 at the Patchogue Theater for the Performing Arts Lobby. And whereas the Greater Patchogue Historical Society has it as its purpose, as is in its constitution, to foster and promote local interest in the history of the Greater Patchogue area, to collect and catalog photographs, documents, tapes, memorabilia, and artifacts about the Greater Patchogue area, to preserve the history of Patchogue, and make all this material available to interested groups and individuals. Whereas the Greater Patchogue Historical Society has as its purpose the discovery, preservation, dissemination of knowledge about the history of Long Island, and particularly the Greater Patchogue area in the county of Suffolk. State of New York, and the preservation and prosperity of places, buildings, landmarks, and objects of historical interest on Long Island. Therefore, we proclaim that I, Paul D. Pontieri, Mayor of the Village of Patchogue, on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, congratulate the Greater Patchogue Historical Society on its ongoing work to preserve the history of Patchogue. And I'd like to
My turn?
yes, most important capital, Steve.
You're right. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ray.
And you know, anytime over the last 5 or 6 years that I've really been involved in things that this historical society has done, there's always been one person that has come to the village to collect, gone to the places to be there, and always has been, for me, the voice of the historical society that I would go to. And this is just a proclamation, and it's just a small thank you, Steve. And this is presented to Steve Lucas for his hard work, dedication to preserving the history of Patchogue, for his creation of the historical map and the guide of Patchogue.
I can't see. This is Thank you very much, Paul.
It's really,
And we have a little something for you. We have the Patchogue Greater Patchogue Historical Society.
that's really neat.
That's a miniature version of the big one.
I think that's the tree in my mother's front yard. That's a big one.
We tried to be as authentic as possible.
It is really, really sharp. Very, very. Thank you very much.
But don't go away, we have a surprise. Whether he likes it or not, we have this,
Nice.
and we have
I'll let Paul tell you what this is.
This is a picture of Roof 112, when it was first being, concrete was first being poured. And the gentleman right here is my grandfather, Frank Romeo. And he was what was called at the time a patrolman. He came over from Italy and you're looking for a place to go to work, he called up Frank. And Frank gave me a shovel and said, go to work. And you can't see it as much in this picture as you can in other ones. I have another picture at home and you can see the Fusillos, you can see the Salamones, you can see the Mazzotis, you can see all of these families. In fact, I think there's one even that has Mike Weiner in it, the shoe store, from days gone by. But it is a, thank you very much. Thank you.
And now you're going to need help carrying all this stuff out to the car.
Thank you so much. That's.
Okay, continuing right along. We have a few more maps to give out, framed maps. And so anyone from the County Executive's Office here tonight that can accept on behalf of Steve Malone? No? We'll get it to him. Also, the Patchogue Medford Library, who, as most of you have known and have seen in the papers recently, the Greater Patchogue Historical Society will be having a presence in the Carnegie Library in the near future. We will be having a museum there, and it is with great appreciation to Lauren Nichols, the director of the Patchogue Medford Library, that we'd also like to present one of these framed maps. Lauren, I saw you here someplace.
And Allison did all the hard work in this map. Roselle? That's not just one. Thank you to our library board and the staff really that makes all these partnerships and great things in Patchogue Medford area happen. Thank you.
Okay, here. One more. Last one.
My turn.
Just give us a smile. Yeah. Thank you. We'll find somewhere room.
Okay, and we'd also like to present one to our host venue tonight, the Patchogue Theater for the Performing Arts. And I'm not sure, I know John Ashline just left.
Supposed to pick it up for us.
He told you to pick one? Okay. I know he just left on to go on vacation out west. He's doing the grand tour of some national parks. So we do have one for him also.
Make Pontieri sign for it. He's worth a lot of money. Original. Signed original.
That what we do? Probably against the door or something.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, down the hallway or something.
They'll find it, yeah.
Put it in his other office there.
Where's Alex?
Alex, yeah, put it behind the bar. Nobody goes behind you. And also David Kennedy from the Greater Patchogue Chamber of Commerce. He's been instrumental in helping get this festival off the ground. And a lot to be thankful for David and his hard work in helping with this event tonight. So David, we also have one for you.
And I don't have a presentation like the politicians. Our presentation was the food from our elected officials. I should say that right, elected officials. But we did present the food from our member restaurants, so I don't want to prolong this. But I would like to introduce our president, Jacqueline Hensley, to join me in accepting this. Oh, Jacqueline is taking care of her lovely daughter Noelle right now. But I know we're very proud to display this in the office for all our visitors to see. Thank you very much. And there comes Jacqueline. I'd like her to join me for the picture, please. Sorry.
Come on, make the baby famous.
And here's a perfect picture of a working mom right here.
Everybody comes together. Here. One more. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, one more and then me.
Little twist, there we go.
on Facebook. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having another beer.
And we have one more.
It's beautiful.
One more to hand out, and it is with grateful appreciation for all of the help that this person has given to the Historical Society in publicizing our events. And we'd like to ask Linda Lueizzi from the advance to come up.
You want me to take a picture of you and your camera now?
Yeah, I know. This is
Take Linda's picture. I got it.
Okay, wow. Wow.
Paul, you gonna take the picture? Okay.
Let
Come
Titus
over
do
line,
it.
Right here. And let me get Linda's, please.
He's got the camera.
Okay.
There. Is it on? Here's far.
It goes back and forth. Yes, just switch it there. It's on the side.
Oops.
I'm tethered.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I'll send you mine.
Okay.
I'll send you mine. Thank you.
Okay, you done?
You get one?
Yes, I have.
We're all set.
Okay.
Linda, I will send you one.
Thank you very much.
Keep on smiling.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, before we get to our, and open the food, which I'm sure everybody is waiting for, myself included, no, I didn't have dinner before I got here, I was anticipating the wonderful food from all our restaurants in town. I'd like to thank them for their generosity, especially Barbecue, Brick House Brewery, the Cheese Patch, Public House 49, Village Idiot, Harbor Craft Company, Roast Coffee and Tea Trading Company, and the Meatball Place. Also, for our raffles tonight, I would like to sincerely thank a lot of the donations that were given to us by Belport Jewelers and Rarities, Lungs, Dragon Palace, Main Street Italian Bistro, the Meatball Place, Patchogue Theater for the Performing Arts, and Gateway Playhouse. Also for our door prize, Floral Designs by Raphael. Again, wonderful musicians, Martin and Lucas, and the Patchogue Medford Library Youth Ensemble. I think that about covers it. Don't forget, if you haven't already participated in the raffle, the tickets are over here to my left or right. And we're going to hand out the maps. The maps will be available, the fold-up maps, they're pocket size. But I don't know if you want to take them yet. You might spill some food on them. So they'll be available. Let's eat.